Hi, host Derek here, host of Talking with Fast People. So, I want to address Marjay's comment. I don't want to have a big throwdown about it, but here's the gist of it. Um, let's go back to the beginning of the conversation. My point is that race is not real, and I can choose it arbitrarily. I can pick it, and I can change it if I want it. Your position was no, it's more than that. It's something that is a combination of lots of different things, and that is, but just because you can't define it precisely doesn't mean it's not real. Just because I can't say exactly where medium tall and very tall, where the dividing line is, doesn't mean that some people aren't very tall. Okay, well, she's accused me of moving the goalposts. I smiled when I read this most recent comment of yours because you're doing that INFJ thing. Very convincing. I'm not moving the goalposts. It's simply not happening, right? But what I accuse you of doing is happening. I'm not just doing it rhetorically. There are real things here that are meaningful, right? I'm not moving the goalpost because my initial point was your distinction that something is real because it's a label is fine, provided you acknowledge it's entirely arbitrary and I can change the label as I wish. To the extent that I can't change the label and that I'm stuck with a given group membership that's unchanging, then for that to be meaningful, it must afford certain rights, privileges, duties, expectations, or at least criteria by which out members can be excluded. Now, I've asked you to provide some contrary points to this, if you had any. You take an exception to my saying I put a handle on that shit as though I think I had the argument won. No, an argument is comprised of multiple speeches. I put a handle on that speech. I put a handle on that shit. That was great. Doesn't mean the argument's over. It was like, ooh, this is going to be a fun game when somebody scored a touchdown, right? It's first quarter. I don't think the argument's over. Except deep down, of course, I know the argument's over because I've already gone through all the argument chains and I know who wins this game. I know which arguments win. I know you don't actually have any way to establish what you're trying to establish, if you're trying to establish anything. It's not clear if you are at this point, because what you are doing is exactly what I described it, which is you're retreating from your original position that there is a reality and distinction beyond just an arbitrary changing label. Um, and I've got that position already pulled off. So there's nothing you can do with it. However, it's so convincing. It's so convincing, and everybody else except for interviews are convinced by it. When Marjay says I'm moving the goalposts, it is very believable. But I'm not, Marjay. My goalposts are exactly where they always were. I know what that means. You can't fake it with me. Anyway, race is nonsense. It's completely nonsense. The fact that somebody else might perceive you as some race and therefore draw conclusions about it or something is the same thing as saying they might perceive you as rah and not like you for no good reason, or like you for no good reason, or assume you're going to do this for no good reason. If people make false cause fallacy conclusions, draw conclusions using a false cause fallacy in their day-to-day life is indisputably true and happens constantly for all sorts of different reasons. And you might say, yeah, but dark skin is an important one. Okay, well, I agree. It is idiotic to care about whether someone's skin is dark. There's no reason to think it matters at all unless you believe in this fiction called race, which isn't even a real thing, which is my point. And you say, yes, we can label people with dark skin as darker. Yeah, but that's not. That's why I'm not moving the goalposts. You need to do more than that to establish race as meaningful. And then you point to, well, there's lots of things in race besides just skin color. There's heritage, right? But that means there's too much in there for it to be meaningful. It can't be anything. It has to be something or not, right? You got a choice. It's either a label that you get to change, it's like a tag, or it's a unchangeable identity. You can have either of those two things, but each requires you to accept the corresponding stuff that goes with that. You can't say, yeah, I want the healthy horse that's been chopped in half. It doesn't work like that. So anyway, I do win this argument. At this point, this to me should be the last page. I should win the argument. If you want to come back again at me, it's ego driven. It's not argumentation driven. Like I told you, the arguments on this are really clear. You're in it. It's not like I'm even making an argument. I'm just requiring you to commit to something you're not willing to commit to because deep down you agree with me.